Welcome to Reunderstood, where we challenge perspectives and rethink what we think we know.
It's me, Ibrahim.
And me, Mirko.
Together, we explore ideas, break down complex topics, and share insights from our own experiences. Let's dive in and rediscover the world, one conversation at a time.
And we're back. This is episode 9.
Or 7.
How about this? I'll cut it together. This is episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then when you do the edit, just select the number that's relevant.
You got it.
All right.
This is how post-editing is created, guys.
We were saying earlier before we kicked off, we're getting into a bit of a plateau, stagnation with the podcast. I'm personally feeling we're not really progressing. Sure, the numbers are gradually improving, but that's not an indication of the product getting better, but more that we're just putting out enough volume and there's more and more eyes on it. So that is a linear, very gradual path to continue to grow. I think what might help is us experimenting. Right now, we've got into a consistent routine of turning up, recording, publishing. So the logistics of doing that is not the challenge anymore.
Yeah.
So what can we now start to do to actually try new formats, topics, ideas, structures that we can play around with? Would you be down to explore some new formats and things that we can try? This is live brainstorming on how the podcast is going to develop. This is essentially behind the scenes at Reunderstood.
Yeah, that's from our second channel, so make sure you tune to that one as well when we publish it. Yeah, so do you feel like we plateaued just because we don't do anything different? The style that we are delivering?
Yeah, and initially I think that when we were recording, there was a bit of resistance in getting fluent and comfortable on camera, which I think more or less is kind of gone now. So we can continue doing what we're doing, which is fine. But if I'm looking at the podcast as it stands objectively, this is not a world-class high-production podcast. The content, the execution, none of it tells me this is exceptional work. Right? Yeah. If I wanted to have a successful podcast, this is not what it looks like.
Yeah, but none of the successful podcasts were world class on the episode 7.
That's true. Now, we can continue doing what we're doing, and it might take us 100 episodes to get to exceptional, but I'm all about experimenting.
And to be in New York on episode 20.
That's the goal. You heard it here first, guys.
We are doing 10x on everything.
In life and on the podcast.
Yes.
That's how Mirko's put on 5 kg of muscle in the past week alone.
500 grams doesn't count as 5 kg does.
That's it. In everything. This could be our tagline, 10x in everything.
Exactly, yeah.
I like that.
Guys, welcome to this new podcast. Title is 10x Everything.
I like the idea of us changing the name like 100 times on the way to New York.
Except the name of our podcast, but what kind of names you think changing?
I like the new one, the 10X podcast.
You think it's not taken already?
You think that is a popular name?
Yeah, probably.
Let me double check real quick. Okay, it's already taken. Never mind. But
Reunderstood it is.
I'm faithful to the end.
Until some other opportunity comes.
Clip that previous one. But anyway, so I had some ideas. But I'm thinking what we could try is series. Right, so we don't have to commit to anything forever. Mm-hmm. But it'd be fun if we tried a certain format or project for, let's say, a month, 4 episodes, 5, 10 episodes. And then we can see how it goes and what the results from that are. Mm-hmm. And it can be like seasons of a show that you'd watch, where every season, Mirko and Ibrahim try something different or new. And it'll keep things fresh, and we'll also learn a lot faster that way. So one idea I had for this was 10 episodes. The goal is building a business that's monetizable, and we only work on it live on the podcast 1 hour a week. Goal is close a client at the end of the 10 weeks. And it's going to teach us to do a lot of things. So our start, execution, and efficiency. We know we're on the clock every single time. So we turn up and we basically hit go, and there's no messing around. Things need to get done. And this is something that I personally do struggle with, of over-planning, overthinking, and just like spending too much time in action. Whereas if we turned up and I only had an hour to get things done, I'd be an execution machine. And if we repeated that week on week, I wonder how much progress we could make.
Yeah.
I'd be curious. And maybe at the end of it, we'd have something substantial enough to think, wow, this is worth continuing. Or it might just be an experiment where we're like, it was fun, but it didn't really go anywhere.
I like the idea. It has to be useful to the audience.
Yeah.
Of course, it will be useful for us because it will put us on the spot and we will give our best, but also it will give valuable content and they will see from the first hand how to build something. And then that, I think, also will make them engaged to the degree where they will have questions, and we will have questions as well as we go along the way. And that way they can help us, we can help them. It can create like some kind of strong connection, and I think everybody will enjoy that.
I like it. And because when we're building or doing something, we can run through our workflows and people will see how it is that we work. So let's say we're researching clients, doing outreach, building out decks. People will see the kind of tools we use, what our thought process is for building stuff out. I think that could be super valuable because I've never seen anyone really do this before.
Yeah.
With like building out a business, and then I can see step by step literally every single thing that they do live. And I bet people would pick up on lots of little tweaks like, oh, I didn't know you could do that, or that's a cool little tool. That would be super helpful for people, I think.
I've seen the show Billionaire Undercover.
Oh, yeah.
And I've seen the episode where Grant Cardone, he went to some small place unknown, and then he tried to raise his build a business. And that was, I had a lot of takeaways from this. And then like I actually watched his version, so not just the episodes, but also behind the scene. So it was like his comments on the situations. And it was also great, valuable, and you can learn a lot of things when you are starting from scratch, because a lot of people are at that situation. And this is also how I would like to help people who are aspiring entrepreneurs. And, we are in the similar position now. And I think it will be great for all people to grow and, do something amazing with their life.
That's cool. What were some of your takeaways from the Cardone episode?
It was important to have contracts like a retainer, 6 months, 1 year, because this creates revenue for you, but also increases the value of the business itself. So when you need to have, I have 5 contracts that are worth, I don't know, $100,000 each. If it's like a 10K or 8K a month, you can build up. And then he was working on it was marketing agency, and he was offering content creation, all these things to local businesses. So that was, it was very insightful, and I like this approach. And I was trying to apply same thing to my business, but it was very tough thing because like as a small business, you can't compete in the game where the big boys are running the show. And it was just hard to put your foot through those doors to get some contracts, and also partially because of the nature of the business, just offering accommodation. It has its lifetime, right? Shorter lifetime. It's not like we will need your consulting services for the years to come. So it was different type of business, and that also helps me to understand next businesses, what kind of nature of them should be. And then that also can help in the business being sustainable and keeping the growing revenue over time.
Got it. That's cool. So we both have a pretty like broad and varied experience. So it'll be interesting how our unique experiences mix together in this, because I'm sure you've got lots of insights that I wouldn't be exposed to, and that way we'll most likely balance out maybe each other's strengths and weaknesses. And
you also have experience in selling SaaS, right? Because again, that's different kind of business or product, and it's something that I assume businesses will need to use in probably years to come, right? Because it helps them to run the business in a better way. So I think we are coming from different sides, and that can be very valuable.
This is how you see co-founders as well, where the most successful ones do not have similar skill sets. It's the ones that can basically cover the blind spots of the other one. You'll have a technical founder, and then maybe another one who's more adept at fundraising or who has connections and network and
marketing sales or technical.
Exactly. And those two mix tend to be the strongest because you compensate for each other's skill sets.
I like it.
Now, if we're down for this, I think there's a couple of changes we do need to make, especially with the setup. It's not very conducive to that because it's going to be a lot of laptop work, and the keystrokes are actually really irritating on the thing. So we need to turn the sensitivity on the mics down a little bit and basically just reposition camera and stuff, because we won't really be talking to the camera anymore if we're doing this thing, right? We're basically just dialed in as a work session, and the camera happens to be running in the background, and we'll just commentate to each other while we're working. That would be the format.
Yeah.
Are you down?
Yeah, I'm down. So obviously, because we are changing the format, it's gonna be something different. Should we make one episode where we are planning?
This is it.
Okay.
This was the planning. So now that I'm thinking,
Now next 50 minutes execution.
that's it. Yeah. So we'll just like maybe hit pause, reset up the recording camera, and then we'll go on planning.
All right.
I'm excited for this. I think this is going to be fun. All right, guys. So we're working on a new series now where we're trying to monetize a newsletter. Now, there's a few constraints here, which is that we only work on this project, on building the newsletter, when we're here. So the 1 hour time we have, and we set a timer when we do work on this, that's the only time we're allowed to work on it. Because Mirko and I don't actually see each other outside of this either. So it's not like there's going to be any cheating. I might message him something here and there to say, Mirko, why are you late for the 10th time in a row? But apart from that, there's no real communication.
We met only 7 times so far.
So, and the intention here is really just to document the process of building out something that's monetizable. So we're going to show you the tools that we're using, our thought processes, what kind of research we're doing, and basically laying it all out step by step so you can basically follow along. And if you have inputs on how we might do something differently or a different approach maybe that we can try, maybe we're missing about a tool or something that's going to make our life easier, I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments. But yeah, the goal is, the constraint is going to be 10 weeks, so 10 sessions of 1 hour long. Yeah. And we're exclusively working on it in this time. So essentially 10 or 20 man hours total is what's going to go into this.
Once again, like, I'm super excited about this.
We didn't even tell them about the niche. Do you want to talk about what the subject we picked?
So the subject are luxury cars, our interest around this, and we want to bring luxury cars into your world as well. And we will keep the secret of the first topic that we have thinking about. But just wanted to say, this morning when I was driving home, I listened short podcast on a radio, and it's about people who are taking second jobs. As the times are getting harder, people working one job is not enough anymore. And I was listening to some people one lady, she was data analyst, and then her second job was pizza delivery in the evening, and still she was struggling. And I was thinking, and they mentioned the thing that now, especially after COVID time, we are having more opportunities online to earn more money. And then I was listening to her example, and she was struggling to meet ends, even though she was working 2 jobs. She was single parent. And I was thinking, like, why is this happening? Shouldn't she be contributing somehow, that she's buying her time back? Maybe, because the pizza delivery job is another low value task. And I think that's the biggest problem with people trying to move the dial in a positive direction, because they just got used to doing a job, and you are limiting your earnings with just like what you do, how many pizzas you deliver per hour. And that's extremely limiting, and especially in the times when the expenses are increasing and the salaries are not following that up. I think this project is super powerful, helping you guys switch your thinking about, I need to get another job, instead, I have spare hour in my life every day, and I want to deliver the biggest value and being rewarded for that. And that's why this newsletter is not just about, okay, I'm going to create another CV for you who is looking another job. I will be focusing on delivering value to bigger number of people. I think that's important thing to make a accent on that.
That's a great point, because I think what a lot of people have struggled with is making the shift from being a traditional worker of trading your time for money to this new economy where leverage is everything. Yeah. Where what output can you get per unit of effort work? Because in the past, sure, hard work was important, but I know for a fact that there are people who make far less than me, like in hospitality or construction, who work incredibly hard, really long hours, but they don't make nearly as much. And so it's a very outdated way of thinking that hard work will equal more better financial outcomes. So like that lady, she's working 2 jobs, working very hard, but it doesn't equate to an improvement in her quality of living because she's chosen the wrong vehicle for where her effort is going. If instead of taking that pizza delivery job, like you said, she went and upskilled herself, looked at ways that she can provide value at a scale more than just one-to-one in a pizza delivery way, she could probably get out of that situation. But I think part of it is that education where people are like, I don't know where to start. I don't know how much time it takes because it does feel like it's a steep learning curve. You don't know what tools you need. You don't even know where to start. So that was a great point. Like this is going to break it down for you step by step. Like we show how we pick the things that we do so you can see our thought process, all the tools that we use so that you can just copy along everything that we're doing. And I know for a fact that if I did a newsletter for 12 months, it could be a sustainable income. That's just a guarantee. I know I can do that.
And just came to my mind, she, instead of start delivering pizza, she might start recording content on YouTube about data analyst and make it more interesting, more applicable. And what's the problem? People are limiting their time to deliver just to another business.
No leverage.
Or a job just to your employee. While in the modern economy, you have access to everyone in the world. So why not cater to at least not limiting yourself to your location?
That's it. Yeah, that's a good way to point out. But I'm excited for this. And did you mention it was luxury cars? Yeah.
It's luxury cars. I think I mentioned. Yeah.
All right. So that's the niche we've gone with, and we'll see how it shapes out in the next few weeks.
Amazing.
I'm already excited. I can picture in like the reels and shorts that we do at the end of it, simple call CTA, like, did you enjoy this? Subscribe below for more car info news. That works so well.
Amazing. Hi guys, this is episode 1 from the new season, How to Build Your Business.
Live in 2 hours a week.
Let's do this.
Okay, timer 45 minutes, go. Let's can't waste a minute. So our constraints are, we have 2 hours a week, and we can't do any client delivery work because let's say a client gets back, we can't reply back for a week, right? That doesn't work. So now we're thinking of businesses that you can only do a couple hours a week and you can leave it for a week and it's still going to be fine. What are our options there? Okay, I'm just going straight into chatbot with this. I'm just going to put out some options.
All right, great.
And the goal is to monetize, right?
Yeah. In 20 hours.
Goal is to monetize within, okay, so there's our requirements. We have a business, 2 hours a week, and we need to monetize it within 20 hours. Okay, 4 business ideas, here we go. Okay, interesting. So offering paid services based on what you know. I'll rewrite your CV and rewrite it for impact, £49 flat fee. Problem here is going to be outreach for clients. Like, how do you find clients? We could set up a simple landing page for it where you set up a site and then Stripe payments. But again, how do you find clients for that? Improving people's CVs. With AI, is that really an on-demand job anymore?
Yeah.
I think that's
Not really.
Pre-made digital products is the other one. But then monetizing that, again, is tricky because content is the only way you monetize that. And we don't have time to advertising content for this product on a regular basis. The other one is affiliate sales with short form. I don't know anything about Amazon affiliates, and we don't really want to be making short form content.
Yeah, Amazon affiliates, you would need to again pitch the product. It would be always the bottleneck is finding the clients.
Okay, that's
outreach.
actually that's a better way to look at it then, because it's not necessarily the product but our client acquisition system.
Yes.
What client acquisition system can we do most effectively in 2 hours a week? Here's an idea. So newsletters work on a once a week basis. You can do a weekly newsletter and grow that once a week really regularly. And the top end of the funnel for newsletters is social media posting. So I've done this where you write an article for your newsletter. You can get the first, dozen, 100 subscribers from your personal network. You email out and now you've got a baseline. You write an article for your newsletter, whatever topic it is, you find something trending, and then you turn that newsletter edition into repurposed formats of other pieces of content, whether it's for LinkedIn, X, Reddit, whatever. You can then just spread that out. And then from that top end social platforms, you get more subscribers in. So that's how the funnel looks like. You write the article, repurpose to social networks, and then you get those subscribers from those social networks into your newsletter, and eventually the newsletter monetizes, or you get sponsorships, or you sell digital products through the newsletter itself. That's one of the easy ways to do it.
Yeah.
That's one option. What other ideas have we got?
So the newsletter is just the way to do the outreach, but we need to find out also what's the product or service that we are offering.
Sure. Now, with newsletters, it doesn't even have to be a product. It could just be informative. So I've seen newsletters that do really well that are just like news-based on latest AI tools or tips about stocks and things. So any kind of information that you can recognize a demand for and curate, it's basically it's just like an arbitrage system where you find existing information online and then put it together, repackage it into an audience that wants it. You're basically the middleman in repurposing that information in an engaging and entertaining way. So that's an easy option. Very low risk as well. Apart from landing page, you're basically just writing content. Not that exciting to watch either. I'm thinking for the audience, it's going to be setting up and writing content, repurposing. I've done it. It's laborious, repetitive work. You're just writing and scheduling posts a lot of the time.
I think it would be maybe the interesting side of it would be how to grow that audience.
How to grow a newsletter audience.
Yeah. So that could be, because that can be a great business, right? Because it doesn't have a lot of upfront investment, and you can leverage like newsletter. You are not on anyone's platform. Nobody can take those subscribers, that community from you.
And I've seen the ones that do really well also are local newsletters. So you can advertise events that are happening, basically leveraging your local knowledge about things like restaurants, bars, clubs, whatever you happen to know about the city you live in. Even like we know there's a podcast space here, but no one knows that. So it's just leveraging all this information into a local newsletter and advertising it locally is also so much easier because you can reach out to local publications and say, hey, this is something I do every week where I just share updates around the community. Yeah. It's very low resistance.
But you are limited geographically.
Too geographically.
So that's why how you grow worldwide.
Well, this is the thing, is your plan for the newsletter to grow a worldwide newsletter or to grow a profitable, really? Or is it to grow a profitable newsletter? Which one is it?
Why can't have both?
Well, one doesn't have to exclude the other. So exactly. I know profitable newsletters that are in a town of, let's say, 30,000, like villages, and they're making 100K a month. So you can get really profitable because you get hyper niche specific targeting with that. When you have a local newsletter, it means your readership is all local, and that means local businesses like garages, restaurants, cafes, they're going to pay a premium for access to that hyper niche audience because it's a high intent list, right? It's high engagement because you're landing in the inbox, and so you can charge a premium for that.
Highly relevant to the businesses being present, and also highly relevant to the residents because it's about them, it's about where they live.
Exactly. So there's trade-offs for both sides. If we want to do a local one or something more informative. Now, we would be limiting ourselves a little bit in terms of the kind of topics and things we can cover if we want local. And I mean, personal interest, I think, is really what's going to sway it here. Both of them are viable options in terms of profitability and how viable they are. But really, where do our personal interests lie? I feel like that's really the swinging vote in terms of what kind of topics, interests, which direction do we feel more pulled by personally? Yeah.
I'm not sure how interested I am in local news events or things like this.
Are you a man about town?
What?
This is an English expression. We call it man about town. It means like if you're out on the town, if you're always going places, doing things, you're at bars, restaurants, your events. No. You don't do that?
No.
Okay. So you wouldn't be that clued in on what's going on in the city.
Exactly, no.
So it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm down for doing a newsletter. Do we have any other options? What's the time are we doing? 37 minutes. Now, I know what the process for doing this actually is. A lot of what I do is by a guy named Matt McGarry. And he's like the newsletter expert. And I followed a lot of his stuff to scale newsletters really well. So we can do this now. Next step is, if we're good on the newsletter idea, what is the topic? So if we want to think systematically about this, how would we find a good, interesting, and profitable niche to build a newsletter around?
while Reunderstood is about business life, it is also, I assume, highly saturated.
Business life.
Business life events, like lessons and
Okay.
what's Reunderstood. So I think this is quite a saturated niche. So we would need to find something more specific.
Okay, I'm on it. So I remember reading this newsletter that basically broke down different niches that it's worthwhile looking into and exploring for
All right.
creating newsletters around because they were booming. Stocks, crypto, real estate, VC, angel investing, personal finance. Okay. Luxury, watches, cars, fashion, drinks, jewelry. B2B, HR, marketing, IT, healthcare.
It would be what understanding we have in those areas.
Yeah, where do we have our leverage here?
Sports betting. So should we straight away erase what we don't have
For a
interest?
start, I have no knowledge of sports betting.
Yeah, I was just on that point. Also not interested in this.
I'm looking at the luxury. Sports cars pop out to me. That's of personal interest.
Yeah, mine too. Cars.
Yeah.
Mostly. I was thinking about starting a YouTube channel about the cars.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that was an
Yeah.
interest of yours.
Yeah, I like cars since I was a kid. And
So are you talking like vintage or like sports cars? Like
sports, classic 80s and sports
okay,
cars. Yeah,
because I know that's a booming area of interest, right?
Mhm.
Like people are really into now.
yeah.
The Lambos,
Rest of
Ferraris.
mods.
Yeah, so that could be good. I don't actually have a lot of knowledge in it. It's very pedestrian, but
Yeah.
I could see that doing well, especially now if I'm thinking, what does our top of funnel look like? How are we attracting subscribers? Any content around flashy cars will
Yeah.
tend to do well, right? If you're posting on Instagram some new hot supercar or whatever, I can see that doing better than, I don't know, B2B stuff.
Yeah.
Because we do have to think, what does our top of funnel look like, and where do our skill sets at the moment lie, or avenues for top of funnel marketing. Now, neither of us really have a huge following that we can capitalize on, unless you've got a big LinkedIn following, do you?
LinkedIn following, 1,000 people,
That's not bad.
1,200. Yeah.
Okay, so if we were going down the B2B route, that would be our primary option. But we would think, if we're doing anything B2B, it's got to be LinkedIn. And what is our proficiency with marketing on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
I have none. I'll say that straight off. I don't really have a following. I really even use it. So in that sense, we would be relying a lot on your following to garner those initial subscribers.
Yeah.
Now, one thing where we don't necessarily need a following is if the content we're writing about is click-worthy already. Things like luxury products, cars tend to do well. So that, for me, it makes sense.
Yeah. And you don't have to necessarily be expert at those. It's from my approach is like, if you like something like that's already important because you will be gaining knowledge as you start doing this. It was same with, for example, us starting a podcast. This is something that we were aspiring to, and there wasn't many obstacles to start it. Even though we didn't have a lot of experience in this, we decided, you know what, let's go, let's try this, and we are now on episode 7, already feeling quite accustomed how to run, how to start, and how to do post editing, publishing, and all these things. So we are already understand how this, just because we wanted to do it. With cars, probably yourself just as mine. Like we are interested. For my side, it's usually design, and then based on this and quality, I'm looking at the cars which I like. So this is my starting point. It's not like understanding, being knowledgeable in mechanics, things like this.
It's just having the interest to drive it.
Yeah. And then obviously, but as you are being more focused on cars, the knowledge about this, it will grow, let's say exponentially. This is our starting point, and everything that we learn, it will be new to us, so we will have a great knowledge growth about this.
Now, the caveat to that is we're entering into a market as amateurs, competing against people who do have domain expertise.
Yeah.
So my thinking is, if I'm going into somewhere, I want to leverage my existing skill sets and experience as much as possible to give me that competitive edge, right? Otherwise, we are competing against people who do have years and years of experience
Yeah.
in what we do, unless we find some other differentiator in either our marketing, our unique voice or angle that helps set us apart from what's already out there. That's the caveat I will say. Now, the newsletter, the cars idea is good. Here's another one I'm gonna share with you. I saw this thing a while ago, and it's kind of like business news, right? But
I think why cars and business might be a good combination,
okay,
because ourselves, just like many other business owners or entrepreneurs, or let's say high position employees, level guys in any companies, they have like a interest to cars and they are related to business. So like a higher paying role allows you to acquire luxury cars or classic cars, and then we can discuss those two things somehow in combine. And it's always good to see how you can grow, improve businesses or support businesses as a B2B, and then adding like this not so serious topic to that, like, and these are the news that we see in the car world or something like that. And then just like having not strictly professional, but like a professional plus leisure kind of newsletter.
okay, that's an option. I'm not fully sure how that's going to shape out.
Me neither. It's just coming to my idea. What are we having interest in? And obviously we can adjust,
based on
remove,
it
add.
as it develops.
Yeah.
In the doc, the top, I've put in a link. Profit Snack. So this is a newsletter I've seen a guy make, right? And again, the thing about stuff like this is it requires no real domain expertise, because you find interesting stories that are already happening and you basically package them in an interesting way, in a way that it's like entertaining. And now this, I watched the guy build this newsletter out to like 300,000 subscribers in maybe like 6 months or something.
Oh boy.
Crazy numbers. And he's like a pro at marketing and he knows what he's doing.
Wow.
But he did this as an exercise. He has no experience in newsletter building, but he knows how marketing works and how to put things together and package them. And he's like, this is how I did this. And he broke down the process.
Amazing.
And the product here itself, it's very good, but anyone could have created it.
Yeah.
The information in here is not bespoke. It's not like insider info. It's just available online. But he was like, oh, that's interesting. I'll just package that.
Nicely packaged.
And now he's got a nice little thing that everyone's interested in.
Amazing.
300,000. So that also works really well because no real resistance. Anyone can do it. It does require a little bit of creativity. You have to think, what might people be interested in? How can I put a fun angle on it? But for the most part, low resistance. You don't need to learn anything like with cars where I don't really know about engine sizes, top speeds, all that stuff.
Yeah.
None of it's relevant. Whereas with this, I just find things that people have already written, repackage into interesting things, and now I've got a brand new story and content.
Exactly.
So this is, have you seen the link? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on it now. Yeah.
So this one does really well, very successful, and the good thing is limitless ways we can go down with. There's no end to how many stories or ideas we can come up with, because you just go even more niche and find little stories and corners of the internet to pull new ideas out of. So we never really run out of ideas for it either.
Yeah.
This one I'm also a big fan of.
Nice. Great shout. So are we...
That's our half an hour timer, by the way.
Yeah.
24 minutes, actually.
Nice. So next question is, so we find the way how to build newsletter, this guide that you're mentioning now. So it's a good approach. We having steps laid out, right? And now we just need to define the niche that we want to attract. So would that be cars plus something around additional thing around luxury, or something that will bring more value? So I always think like it's good. What we started here, podcast is more educational thing. And for example, it may be good if you mix a little bit education and entertainment, right?
Of course, right? That's why this thing I just sent you, why it works.
Yeah.
Because you could lay out the facts, but that's not very interesting. People want it in an interesting way.
Yeah.
So our options are, we can do the luxury one, or we can do this more business news approach. So if we're making this decision, on what basis do we decide? Well, let's say... the top of funnel is the big one. What does the top of funnel look like on a business newsletter? Where are we promoting this? So across all the socials, so we'd have an Insta. The Insta won't be that exciting for this.
Not business. Yeah, it can be more motivational on Insta, right?
Well, I'm looking at some of these articles because they're going to be business news stories, right? So there's one here that says secret ingredient in KFC's viral marketing strategy. That would be a good. I think that would make a good Instagram, right? That could work. I can see some of these titles being kind of clickbait, so Instagram could work. LinkedIn potentially. I don't know. LinkedIn. What else is there? There's X. This will work really well on X. That would be a good shout on X. So I can see it doing all right. Where I'm trying to picture what the funnel is like, where you have all the socials with business news and clickbait titles. So how does KFC do this? Why does pizza look like this? Blah, blah, blah. That looks cool. I can see that working well on the socials, and then you attract into subscribers. Problem with this one is things like you don't get lead magnets, right? It's basically just informative. So with news things, you can't use lead magnets. It's got to be just on the value that it's providing on the news articles.
Yeah.
Compared to the luxury cars, what are the benefits there? What does the funnel look like?
For the cars.
Yeah, if we're doing the cars one instead.
Again, you can leverage Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest.
And it'll work better on those.
Yeah.
More photographic.
Visual platforms,
driven.
yeah.
And it's going to work better on there. Okay, let's think about the end goal, right? End goal is to monetize.
Yeah.
Now, which of those is going to be more conducive to that?
So what would be we offer in both?
Well, it's going to be sponsorships, right? It's going to be paid ads.
Yeah. Who would pay sponsorship in our luxury newsletter?
For cars.
Yeah, car brokers,
Yeah, I would say car broker is probably the big one.
car insurance.
Car insurance companies, yeah.
Also wealth managers.
Yep. Retirement managers, all
Yeah.
these kind of things.
Yeah.
That could work potentially. And I don't know if anything like that exists on the market. So the big benefit of the luxury one is that it might be not done before. Let's have a quick Google and see if we can find something around luxury cars newsletter. And if it's looking thin, that would be a big reason to go in this direction.
So how would you define or find newsletter? Just the portals that are having news about the cars and articles about the cars, or
Yeah. So the newsletter has to be a big bulk of their business. And I'm looking at it as like what's their SEO ranking? What's that looking like?
and I'm thinking, while business is interesting, but from my perspective, cars are a bit more interesting on that list. It's just something that is more about leisure, more about entertainment.
So yeah, it looks good. I'm thinking we just have to think about the top of funnel. That's it. Now, because we can write interesting things about cars all day long, but if we can't get them to people in our cold audience, then none of it really matters. So what does that top of funnel look like? Well, we can post pictures of cars on Instagram. How effective is that going to be as a marketing strategy? My guess is not very. Right? How are we going to draw people into this thing? What is our top funnel? Now, the difference is with the other type, with written content, we can actually post it on socials like LinkedIn X and whatever, and people are like, oh, this is interesting. I'd like to read more. Or is it just a picture of a car? It's like, what is the next step? How do you get the conversion into the subscriber? That's the challenge here. Because it's purely entertainment based. It's not really value. Unless we switch the offer, unless we switch it to values, like interesting information about cars. And someone's like, oh, that's a cool fact. I didn't know that. I want to learn more. The caveat to that being, we'd have to learn a lot more about cars. have to explain them and say, oh, this car does top like 0 to 20 and 0 to 60 in this, or we'd have some value or information to give about cars, which is a bit of an information gap at the moment. Depends which direction we want to go in.
I'm just reviewing the list that you put and want to see like if there are some other interesting, and potentially we can put them together just to give enough attention to ideas.
In fact, I remember reading one thing that said, when you're thinking about starting a newsletter, you shouldn't really think about the niche of the subject at all. You should think about your subscriber acquisition system first, and then pick the niche around that, because that's really going to be the biggest obstacle. So what is our most effective way of getting subscribers, or what would be the best way that we know how to get subscribers?
Cross-pollination, so finding other newsletters who are doing similar or related topic. So it can be something around entertainment, something around performance, something around sport.
I've tried this, and we can only really do it once we reach a certain threshold.
Yeah.
Below 100, 200 subscribers, no one's interested.
So yeah, it's always about leveraging your own network and then building from there. It's also same challenges when you want to raise your personal brand. How you do that, right? It's by exposure. When you're on X, the best way to grow profile is just by commenting on other people's posts, and this is increasing your visibility, because even if you're posting and you have 0 followers, your reach will be almost the same.
Check this out. So I've had Chatbot analyze some of the ideas we're going through, and how about some of these ideas for posts? 10K cars that feel like 100K cars. Yeah, that would do great.
I was looking at this kind of series.
What about the best sounding V12s ever made, and then we just clip together different V12 engines? I think these are really like watch-worthy clips, right? Mm-hmm. All right.
My idea around the YouTube channel regarding the cars, it was like buying 10K car and like doing a review, going somewhere else, like trips to somewhere, and then creating some like a photo, like like some media content around this car, and like just speccing it up a little bit more. So buying, let's say, some legendary, let's say, sleeper for up to 10K, and then tweak it up a little bit more, like wheels and so and so and so, and like maybe some power as well, doing around like a road trip content, and maybe also having an interview with some familiar or public person who had that car in the past, and then just having like a short interview with them about the car, how they are, and that will kind of raise your profile, because people know that person, and then you are having a chat with them about something that is they have passed with that, and that way it will help you to raise your brand to the degree. And then also you have series like, I don't know, 10 cars for up to 10K that were like used to be like some top cars, right? So something what you suggested.
The problem with the YouTube one is it's not going to fit within our time frame window.
I know. I'm just sharing what were my thoughts in this series, like 10K car series. Yeah.
No, that works. Now, the other side of it, if we did the business one, some ideas for what that might look like. We can have titles like, this $3 billion startup just imploded, and here's what went wrong. I like that one. What about what most people missed in Spotify's last earnings? I like that. And why this new acquisition is going to affect your daily commute, or something like that. Yeah. So both of those options, they actually sound really good to me. I think we just pick one and commit. At this point, it's going to be a flip of the coin. I really think I'm confident enough in both of these that I think we can make either of them work. So it's just a matter of saying which one do you feel like working on? And let's just make it work.
We can make one episode trying this and building up. So we didn't say like what will be the, let's say, the future after 10 hours or after 10 episodes.
Because we don't know what's going to happen at episode 10, right? No, if it really takes off, then goodbye Reunderstood.
Cut understood, or cut this monetized opportunity. We did it here, we proved it can be done. Bye-bye,
Or I was going to say bye-bye to the podcast.
Something of 2 bye-byes, yeah.
Yeah, something's gonna go. At the end of the 10 weeks, either the newsletter's done or this podcast is done.
So guys, appreciate this time. Who knows if
This
this
is
will be
high-
very limited.
This is high stakes business here. But anyway, you know what? I'm feeling the cars. I think that's gonna be more fun.
Yeah.
You know, that, like we can get a bit more creative and I'll enjoy a little more. So, should we come into the cars?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome, done.
Cars.
Let's clean up that dock and let's start putting together a plan.
Amazing.
I've done a ton of research into building up podcasts and
Uh-huh.
like the tools that you need and the platform. So I'm gonna be able to get us like rolling really quickly with the foundational stuff. Let me just find where the dock is. Let me clean up.
You
this.
mean we are in the newsletter?
Yeah.
You said podcast.
Did I? Oh,
Yeah.
my bad.
I was like, all right.
Okay, let me clean this stuff up.
Awesome. I'm excited about cars.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think it's good to be, what are you most excited about? Earlier when we were talking about career and then you're thinking, will I be able to do this all my life? You
What,
know?
are you talking about the podcast?
No, previously when I said about the career
Oh, yeah.
and about the changing jobs and then like would I like to do that
for
the rest of my life, yeah? And I'm thinking like cars is something that I would be able.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's a big claim. Well,
Yeah.
that's good. That means your energy in this is going to be limitless.
Yeah.
Okay. So a few things need to be done, right? You can throw, if you think of something in this list, throw it down. So I know the platform we're going to use Beehive.
Uh-huh.
I know how to set that up. What else needs to be? So editions, actually socials.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Content. So we need to write the issue.
Yeah, content.
Let's say we want to plan out the first, like
10.
at least. Well, if we're
5.
doing it, ideally, since we only have 10 weeks to do this, we want to make this more than once a week. Let's do at least a bi-weekly newsletter
Mhm.
to begin with. So let's plan out at least, let's say, the first 4 editions. Now, when we're planning it out, what are we thinking about things to include? Well, how do we get the first 100 subscribers are the
Mhm.
hardest?
That would be goals, right?
Okay, so before we write a single issue, we get subscribers.
Mhm.
Otherwise, we're writing issues for an audience that does not exist. So first of all, we'll do whatever we can. Actually, yeah, it can't be that big. What do we do to get our first 10 subscribers? Because otherwise, who are you going to write to?
Yeah.
Right? So first of all, let's get those 10 subscribers. Now,
But we need to also have a place where they can subscribe.
yeah, so that's why I'll set up the landing page
Uh-huh.
immediately. That'll take 5 minutes. We'll do this probably in the next one. What's our
Okay.
time looking like? 7 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll set up the landing page and we'll have somewhere that people can go. Now, how do we drive traffic to that landing page? It's got to be personal networks. I can
Yeah.
get, how many can I get from mine? I can probably get 5 from mine.
Uh-huh.
How many can you bring?
Few, definitely. we'll get to 10 in no time.
Yeah, can we get to 10? Because once we get that 10, then we can start writing
Yeah,
conditions
yeah.
and getting people. It's just to help us stay consistent with the writing and the
Uh-huh.
posting, because
Yeah.
otherwise there's no point. So get 10 subscribers. So here's what we'll do. I'm gonna get the landing page set up. Socials need to get set up. So I'm gonna we can run through the process. We write an edition. We repackage it. Okay, content. So we want to start curating stuff that can go in there.
Mhm.
So we can create a folder, and then we just start putting pictures and news articles about cars that we find into there. Let's start just research. We'll do a little research block next week where we just go out and find interesting pics and talking points. Now, what else? How do we get the top of funnel? So those ideas for a chatbot were actually really good. I like those.
Mhm.
10K cars that feel like 100K. And have you got experience of making those kinds of videos on Instagram?
No. Videos in terms of just recording.
Not even recording, but like clipping different images together.
Uh-huh.
Because you can just do it with
Oh.
the text overlay, right? You can just have a screen of a car and say caption with a voiceover that says
Yeah.
10K cars that feel like 100K cars, and then we can just cycle through
Ah,
top 5 or
right,
something.
got it. Like carousel, basically.
But it's got to be a reel, because the carousel and posts don't get shown.
Yeah,
to
like it's just like a picture after picture is going.
Like a slideshow.
Yeah, having a brief description of the car. Why is this one worth
But it
100K?
can have a voiceover, like an AI
Yeah.
voiceover.
I don't like those. But anyway, yeah, like I know what you're saying.
Anyway,
yeah.
they're super simple to make,
Yeah.
so we can start.
But it's
making-
easier to make it again. Like you don't have to do all those recording. You can just type the text.
That's the
and
thing,
Yeah.
right? So on that side,
It's
it'll be
easy
super
to,
easy.
It's easy to produce those.
That's it, and we can produce them at volume because remember our window is really limited on
Yeah.
when we can do this. So if we can be super efficient in the volume of
It's
content.
about efficiency. Yeah.
A couple of background things I've completely forgot about. How much time do we have? We've got 4 minutes.
Yeah.
Who is this newsletter for, right?
Audience. Yeah.
Well, it's typically going to be men.
Yeah. 20 to 60.
20 to 60. It's going to be a larger. I think we'll narrow it down as we do it a bit more and see
Yeah.
who's more interested. But for the most part, it's going to be guys. Maybe they're interested in buying, but for the most part, it's going to be entertainment
Yeah.
based,
Yeah.
right? It's not
They
really.
so they can aspire to get that car in
That's
this
it.
series. Yeah.
Yes, I like that one. They will aspire to get the cars.
Yeah. When I was thinking about the YouTube channel and this series, I was thinking, okay, like I go to Auto Trader straight away, like what are the cars for 10K? You know, it's or sometimes in my newsfeed it comes the article from some online websites where they are writing article about 10 cars for 10K and things like this.
Okay, so we've got who it's for. They're going to aspire to get the car showed. So it's not like buying information. It's more entertainment based.
Yeah, but sparking interest about that car.
Let's look at what the funnel looks like. Top of the funnel, we have. Well, what does it look like? The content is going to be highly visual.
Yeah.
Visual. It's going to be mostly on Instagram. Where else can you post? I mean, you can post on TikTok as well, but it's not that. There's a very low engagement there. Instagram, TikTok, and
YouTube as well.
YouTube Reels.
Yeah.
Okay, highly visual. And now that feeds into a top, and then we go to a CTA is going to be on the landing page.
Yeah.
And it's got the subscribe. Maybe like we need a call to action. Latest info on the newest most.
Like supercar blonde, yeah.
Yeah.
What she was doing.
The newsletter equivalent of that.
Yeah. I'm thinking if we build a brand around this, we can create like a clothing brand or something, some merch.
Oh yeah, that has potential. In 10 weeks, that could be ambitious, but we might be able to get there.
I know, it's just like an additional way to sponsor and to grow our new channel.
Okay. So I've done like newsletter. How much time do we have? We've got like 1 minute remaining, right? Last few minutes in prepping this for next week.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of like newsletter work, and writing the content itself is not difficult for the newsletter. Right? It probably takes you an hour, 2 hours, because you're just pulling information from different places and you're collating it and it's ready to go. The rest of the time is basically spent advertising the newsletter.
Yeah.
It's all on the marketing, because what successful newsletters do is they actually do a pre-launch. They'll advertise the launch ahead of time, where they'll say, hey, this new thing is coming out, click here to subscribe, and before the first edition is even written, there's 10,000 people in the waiting list. And now you're like, now it's a worthwhile thing for me to do.
Creating waiting list.
Right? That's a big one. Because
building a buzz around the new newsletter.
Exactly, because otherwise we get caught in the cycle of catering to a non-existent or tiny audience, whereas that effort is much better spent just doing the top of funnel, getting new subscribers.
Do the product when you have an audience.
Yeah, exactly. So next week we'll just we'll get the landing page social set up, and then we'll just work exclusively on the top of funnel content.
Yeah.
That's time.
Guys, hope you enjoyed.
I didn't take a breath there. That was intense. All right, guys. Stay tuned. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.